What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new show. It's Locked In, and I'm your host, James. And I'm so glad to be here today because this is a dream come true for me. I've been looking to do something like this for quite a bit of time, and now it's coming to fruition. So I am so glad to be joined by all of my hosts here with me today. These are my close friends. These are people in my life that have been a significant part of my life. And you know what, man, we definitely need those people in our lives to push us to where we want to go in life, to push us to furtherance, to push us to go to, things unknown possibly, we need that push. And so I have my pushers, my brothers here. I have Eric. I've known him for, my goodness,
Hello,
how long have
hello,
I known
hello.
him? 20 years?
Yes, I think, yeah, if not longer.
Yeah.
But I look better, by the way.
You did what?
I look better.
Okay. And then we had Damien. I've known him around the same time, I guess. It was around the time of Excellent Word TV back in 2009. Is that right?
Yeah, 2009, 2010. Yes,
Oh,
sir.
yeah. And I met Eric in 2005, I believe. So, yeah. So, good friend there. Thank you for joining me on today, man. Thank you for considering to come on the show. You as well, Eric. And then my brother, last but not least, Q. I've known you since what year?
2017, maybe.
Something like that. So we go back to one of my shows I've done before called Young and the Beerless. So we kept in touch and a friendship was formed. And it's something special about each one. And I'll start with Q. One thing about Q that I must say, he didn't know I was going to do this, but one thing about Q that sticks out to me is that this brother is a true friend. And I say that only because during a time when I was going through the most craziest thing with my divorce and just different things going on in my life, it was this brother that made it a point to come see me each and every month just to make sure I was okay. Now, he got a smart mouth and everything, he takes smart to me, whatever. But the fact is, he showed himself to be a great friend. And we need that kind of push in our lives. So I will never forget that. I don't care how smart I get with him. He's my brother, and I'm always look out for him. So I appreciate you, man.
Of course, absolutely, man.
Damien, man, you are definitely somebody, and we're working on something here. I have all these new gadgets, so I'm gonna turn it off. But I've known you for a while, man. We lost touch for a little bit, but the first time I met you, man, you just always been a cool, smooth, really about your business type of man, man. And I appreciate you because you've helped me more than you realize in a lot of ways, man. Just seeing your tenacity to want to do better, to want to be better, to want to do and strive for your goals and go for your goals. Not only strive for them, but to actually go for them. Not only write them down, not only to put it somewhere you can see it, but to actually bring it to fruition. It's absolutely amazing to me, man. So I feel like the people need to hear more about you and to hear more about what you are doing because I think it's going to help somebody else. So thank you, man, for being a great friend.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
And then last but not least, my boy Eric. This is my brother, man. I love you, man. I appreciate you. I mean, he's the one to give it to me like it's real. I mean, he tells it like it is. Sometimes I don't like what he say, but he says it to help me, and that I can appreciate. He's a true friend indeed. Nobody can never tell me he's not my brother. He may not be blood, but he's my brother, and I love him. So I appreciate you, man. And your story is amazing as well. Absolutely amazing. What
Thank
you
you.
done.
I
So
appreciate
each and every last one of us has great stories that we can share that's to help each other. So I wanted to tell my little bit of what I thought about you guys, but I want you to tell me a little bit about yourself. So Eric, go ahead. Start with you. A little bit about you.
Gotcha. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be a part of this panel of brothers. It's just really good. Just a little bit about myself. Born and raised here in Virginia, where I'm from. I have two sons that absolutely get on my nerves. That's why God put them here. So I have one son. He's 18. And he's a freshman in college, and I have another son who's 12, who is a seventh grader at middle school. So you know how that middle school age, kind of goes. Graduated from Virginia State University. Just recently graduated from Regent University with my doctoral degree. So I'm actually excited about stepping into that field and just using my degree and using the things that God has blessed me with to keep this education field going. I like to work out. I love to play tennis. In my head, I'm a professional tennis player, but I'm really not that good. And I just like to relax and chill. So just being in this education field and working in predominantly African American, low socioeconomic schools. I just feel like my gift and my passion is advocating and equipping, students, parents, anybody that touches children on how to navigate this thing called life and navigate education. So that's just a little bit about myself.
So Eric, you were just talking about, you a tennis player, a professional tennis player. Tell everybody what you did today. I mean, I talked to you last night, and what did you tell me you was going to do this evening?
Well, God dog. So there's like 4 majors in tennis, and so the Australian Open just went off, but it's in Australia, so it comes on at early in the morning. So I woke
Like
up
what
at
time?
3:30 this morning to watch the the men's final match.
That's commitment right there. That's for
Yeah.
sure. All right,
Yeah.
Q, it's on you, brother.
Man, all right. So yeah, very excited to see you jump into this because I know this is something you wanted to do. So I'm excited to see you do this thing, man. I'm grateful to be a part of it and watch it grow because I know it will. But a little bit about me. So I'm born and raised in Virginia. I've tried multiple times to get away, never happened. So I'm still here. I ended up, I got married in 2010 to my 6th grade crush. So we've been married since 2010. We have 3 kids. I have a little girl, and then I have twin boys. And I used to work at CBN and Regent for a little bit, worked through Operation Blessing for a little bit, but then decided to open my own fitness facility. So now my wife and I own Hope Fit VA, which is in Chesapeake, Virginia. And I'm doing that full time. She's doing a lot of the classes that we do there. She's helping out with that, but she's also working part-time at EVMS as well until our business and brand recognition actually gets to that point. But other than that, man, I went to Nansemond River High School in Suffolk. I did TCC for a little bit. I was going to try to do Virginia Wesleyan for a little bit. So I never really finished the education side of things, but I wouldn't trade the path that I took for anything because I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about what I am capable of. I learned a lot about my shortcomings and things that I need to grow in and things like that. So none of what I've done in the past would I change, but I'm grateful to be where I am right now, which is with y'all brothers.
Man, that touched my heart, though. It's so amazing, though. People think that because you didn't finish school or go to college that you can't be successful, but you are a definition of success, bro.
Hey, man.
So you can't tell anybody,
Listen, none. I tell everybody, none of what we are doing right now has anything to do with us. It's all God, and we are able to touch so many people and change so many lives, not just from the physical standpoint, but emotionally and spiritually as well. So none of it has anything to do with me, man. It's all God, and everything goes right back to Him. But I appreciate
that.
Though, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I appreciate your kind words too, man. It touched my little heart there. Let's see how he's gonna be nice to me the rest of the show, though. We have that dynamic where we play around and joke around, but it's all good. Damien, it's on you, brother.
What's going on, James? You set the topics, man. You set the topics through the email, right? So we know what we're talking about, but you didn't send the intro section, right?
Yeah.
So I would have had a little PowerPoint slide right off the side. You know what I'm saying? So what are we to talk about? All right. So I'm from California. All right. I'm from California. I'm 35 years old. Going on 35. I'll be 35 next month. I'm 34 at the moment. But I actually spent 11 years in Virginia because of the military. I moved to Virginia because my mom married somebody in the Air Force, and then I enlisted from there and got stationed back to the Hampton Roads. And I just kind of stayed out. I only did 4 years in the military, but I stayed in that area in total for 11 years, and then I made my way back to California. And then I ended up relocated to right next door to Tijuana. I met my wife. I'm actually married. We have a son. He's my son through marriage. But yeah, we relocated to Tijuana. So yeah, as far as my education, I finished my associates at Tidewater in business administration. So I did that. But I actually used my GI bill to do that. So I decided I didn't want to take out any loans to finish or further any education. So as far as my profession, I'm actually an entrepreneur at the moment. I own a trucking business. Me and my wife, we operate about 2 trucks out of the San Diego region county. And some of my hobbies, I do fitness. Fitness is a part of my routine. It keeps me mentally healthy. It's one of the things I do that keeps me mentally healthy. Um, I also do martial arts. So I actually just got my black belt this year. I've been doing that about 4 years now. About 4 years now. Yeah. Um, yeah, man. That's pretty much it, man. My life is pretty boring. Pretty stressful. So it's pretty much work. It's my family and it's work and then it's fitness whenever I can get it in, you know. So whenever work doesn't throw my schedule off balance, I'm in the gym whenever I can. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a little bit about me.
Yeah.
That's good, man. Listen to all these great stories, man. I am blessed to have friendships like this, man. That's what I'm talking about. I guess a little bit about me, man. I'm James. I'm a producer. I'm a creator. I'm an editor. Anything dealing with creativity, that's pretty much me. I love it. I adore it. It gives me solace. It helps me to get through a lot. And when God gives me something, I have to go. I have to do something about it. And one thing that I wanted to do was try to figure out a name for the show. I went through different names, and you got a big grin over there. I was told different names, so I'm gonna leave it at that. And I didn't have a name, so I remember about 10 o'clock at night a few weeks ago, I was laying down, and I was tossing and turning, and I know I needed to go to sleep because I go to work early as a producer, news producer. I produce a newscast, and I do an entertainment show every week. So I'm at work early, and so I'm tossing and turning, and then Locked In came in, and it just started flowing. Things just start flowing, locked into politics, locked into mental health, locked into we are as brothers, we are locked into what's going on in our communities. We are locked into what's going on in our world, but we're locked in such a way where we try to bring positive change into it. And so I had to get up. I got up in the middle of the night and I put the open together. So that open came together overnight. It was a rough draft. And then I polished it up, but it came right then and there. I couldn't sleep until it came. The music came. I know I wanted black and white. Everything came. So I realized as I've gotten older, I realized the gift that I have. And I'm no longer fearful of it. I'm confident that what God has given me, it can be used for great things. So I am really trusting God in this and other projects that I'm doing. I have a show called The Journey with James Show, and I have a game show where I have a little fun called Game Time with James. Q knows about that, and Eric knows about that. They both lost. Did they?
Yeah, and I lost sleep. Yeah, it wasn't good.
You need a rematch with my sister and Ginger. I think she tore you up in the game, bro. But it's okay. It's all right. David, you next.
Nah, man. What's going on? What's going on in that show, man? It's a game show, you say?
It's a game show. It's just trivia questions. I always have Martin questions from the Martin Show.
Oh man.
Every show, because everybody's seen Martin. Martin is the classic show. But then I add other stuff in there that people don't know, possibly don't know. And it's just fun to ask these questions and get the answers.
Well, if you have me on, I will be watching Martin reruns this pair. You know what I'm saying? So thanks for the info.
You're welcome. I only have one question already. That general question I always have is when Martin, what was Martin complaining about? How much money was Martin complaining about when the rent went up? Was it $5, $50, $500, or $1,000?
I think it was $5. I don't know. You weren't supposed to ask this question, Dave.
I'm asking Damien particularly.
Oh, you asking me? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll answer that when we on the show next time.
It was $5.
What was that question again?
$5. He was complaining and fussing about $5. It was a funny show, man. But all that said, I like to have fun. I'm crazy. My friends, we like to joke around. We like to have fun. But at the end of the day, we're about our business. So we're going to talk too much more. We're going to go ahead and get into our segment. We're going to have a segment each week called Mental Health Checkup. We're going to check in with everybody to see how we're doing with mental health. And some things that we do to help ourselves when we get into a rut. And then we're going to have our trending topics. And then we're going to end with a topic that affects men. And today's topic is, what is a man? All right. So like further ado, let me see. I'll get my little animation going. I got all these new gadgets here. We're going to go into our mental health check. You know what? Yeah, I love the music. It just gets me going. But anyway, so mental health check. I want to talk to you guys about what's going on in your lives. Anything you want to share, anything that you may be struggling with right now that you want to share with some man that may be watching right now. And not only that, what are you doing to help get yourself back on good footing when it comes to mental health? Anybody?
Well, that's good. I don't mind. I'll jump in. So one of the things that it's just interesting because when you assess about that question, you think about it like growing up, I don't think we even knew what mental health was. Like we put a term to it or what the definition was. But I've always felt like as an African American young man, and even to in the profession I am now, which I failed to mention, I'm currently a school principal. Um, Matriculating through the ranks, and I've been in the military. So I have something in common with you, Damon. So I've been in the military. I've been in the food service business where I worked on a sous chef, schooling, and then even like I said, the profession I'm in now, where I've been a classroom teacher in order to and made my way up into a principal. Like I've always felt the struggle of having to work harder as an African American male, and then raising African American boys as well. Especially my 18-year-old who is in school and college, that type of thing. So I wouldn't. So the mental health topic is super. It's not sensitive to me, but it's one that I like to explore quite often because now that I'm older and I have boys, and we talk about just the pressures of life and things that are going on, that all affects mental health. But also, like we were saying, like, am I eating right? Am I exercising? Am I around green space? So all those things determine, how we think, how we function, how we move. And so it's always my goal to research like what can I do to make sure that my mental space is clear and make sure my I teach my boys to make sure their mental space is clear and the students that I serve and the teachers that I work with and the staff members that I work with. So it's always that type of thing. I have been through therapy. And so it is something that I guess especially in the black community, somebody say you're in therapy, like, oh, you crazy. Yeah, oh my goodness. I'll never do that. Let me tell you, had I known how good it is, I think I would have signed up for therapy 20 years ago. So just having somebody that's objective and somebody who's helps you with your days and your life, and he's just there listening to facts and helping you matriculate through your life, highly recommend it for anybody kind of out there. But just currently, I mean, there's certain things that I do, like we were talking about, like working out, making sure I go for walks. I am recently plant based, and so I do watch what I eat. And it's a lifestyle change, but also getting up, praying, meditating every day. Starting with I have a routine, and I try my best to keep the routine. But you have children, you have other things, work life, all that type of thing. You have all those that could throw you off. But I think it's important that we keep a check on how we feel and those that are around us. I would like to do a little plug. I am just started reading a book called The Invisible Ache, and it talks about mental health in the Black community, mainly with Black males, and highly recommend it. It's a good read so far, but just about how you need to check in on those that are in your circle because people are going through things that we don't know. And so even if I was talking to James earlier today, and I was explaining to him, it's okay to say that you're not okay. And so having a good support system in place is important. That's the friends, the brotherhood, sisterhood, whoever you have around you, just to make sure that you are constantly checking in on how you're doing, because this life and this world and this adulthood and things down here is tough. And there's no rule book to say, turn to page 9 and this is how you handle your issues. So, yeah, I feel like I was rambling, but I think I covered
No,
that.
you trust. This is the place where we can just speak, just
Yeah.
talk, and you're not rambling. You're talking real. So anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
No,
You want to go ahead, brother?
I was just gonna say, like, I switched seats. Is it still good? Everything good?
Everything's good, brother.
All right, all right.
Gotta love TV.
Yeah, but so like Eric was saying, yeah, mental health was. I mean, as you guys know, that's new. Like, that's not something that was a priority for us growing up in the 30. I'm 37, so for us, that's like mental health. Like, all right.
Wait, bro. I got to stop you 1 second.
He wanted us. Our goal today. He gave us one goal today. He said, find out how old Q is, because Q would not tell me his age. So look, and we didn't
look at God.
Man,
look at God.
So y'all set that up. Okay. All right. You know what?
God is good. Hallelujah.
I quit.
You may continue. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
that was slick. But okay, all right. I'm cool with that. Oh man, but yeah, so what I've started to do, I don't know, man. For me, if I'm being very, very honest and transparent about all of that, I'm still learning how to unlearn all of the stuff that I was taught growing up. Just being a boy, holding on to your emotions, rub some dirt in it type thing, suck it up, just deal with it, all that kind of stuff that you're taught growing up as a young boy. So I'm still learning how to unlearn all that. And I will say that my wife has helped me out a lot with becoming more vulnerable and more open. And then obviously having a little girl, that adds another avenue to it. But then me having twin boys, they're 3. And so me not wanting them to experience the same type of like mental harm, if that's what you want to call that I did. So allowing them to be a little bit more vulnerable, even as young kids, with what they're feeling, how they're feeling, why they're feeling that way, letting them cry. And then after they've cried, then saying, okay, like you're stronger than that, stuff like that. But I think that it's important to acknowledge that mental health is just as important as physical health, is just as important as emotional health, and it's just as important as spiritual health. Like all of these different things are equally as important. And with all of them being equally as important and putting 100% into each one of these avenues, that's where we're able to create a whole person, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. And for me, what I personally have started to do or have begun to do to help my mental health, obviously I work out. Being a gym owner, I have to look the part and be able to teach that part. But my relationship with God has gotten a lot closer because I've realized and come to that understanding that through him, everything else flows. And even though I knew that growing up, I grew up in church, but I never really experienced it for myself. But now, like, it's through him, everything else flows. All good and perfect things come from him. So trying to be better in that has helped me in other avenues. But yeah, I mean, it's still a work in progress, and I think it will always be a work in progress. I don't think it'll ever be finished. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh, that's really good, man.
Yeah. Man, Q said something so key. And I wasn't aware of the topic of mental health until maybe around 2016. And that was the first time I went to go see a therapist. Uh, I wasn't even aware of like the stigma. I was used to military culture being in different kind of scenarios where different kinds of people. So I didn't realize how much of a stigma that was in our community. But yeah, it is, and I think that could be to our detriment sometimes. But now Q said something very key as far as us being a whole person, and that's how I think about health, right? So I think about us being, first of all, God made us spiritual. We have mental capacity, and we also physical. But one affects the other. Each one affects the other. So it's like I can't. If I'm affected physically, it's gonna trickle over spiritually and mentally. So I also have a routine as well too, and I start off with prayer. I don't even feel like the day is right if I don't start off with prayer, right? And for me, that's going to God in prayer and making sure that I'm thankful for the things that I have. Thankful for my whole person. God has made me, and He supplies everything that I need, and it's there for me, and He's always there for me. So I have to walk around knowing that and being confident in that, you know. Um, but yeah, I have an awareness when it comes to these things. I'm always trying to work. Nobody's perfect, um, and I think as you become more aware, you you become familiar with your own faults. So that brings a level of humility. You know, I like to try to coach other people and talk to other people, but really, I don't think of myself as better than the next person. I'm trying to progress, like, as I should, to be an example as I should, especially for my family. You know what I'm saying? And I think about my son too, and also think about the way that I grew up. I grew up in LA County, right? That's one of the places that I grew up in. So all kind of things with that, just growing up in like um, just the kind of environment where you had to watch out for gangs and things like that. I grew up in different parts of LA County, probably Inglewood, Crenshaw, Compton, things like that. And that was something that was introduced to me at an early age. So it was a very traumatic kind of experience. And then also my mom parented I grew up in a single parent household. So my mom parented me through trauma, through her own trauma. And so one of the things that I'm trying to be aware of is I'm trying to be aware, like it's some of that trickling down to me as I parent my son, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm not passing those things on. And if I'm quite honest, some of those things are. So I do try to let my son process his emotions as he should. Like I don't feel like I was allowed to, or maybe not. Maybe allowed to is not the right word, but just I wasn't aware of that. Right. So if I see my son crying, it's not a sissy thing to express emotion. It's a human. It's that's who we are, right? So I try to give him the liberty of doing that. That's just one thing because it's healthy to do so. Um, but yeah, as far as struggles, I would say that's the latest thing that I'm working through is making sure that I'm not parenting through um, my traumatic experiences as a child. So I can go on a lot about mental health because it's always something that I'm aware of. I'm always talking to my wife about establishing a routine, right? Because it's healthy to establish, a routine. It gives you a sense of sanity having like a routine throughout your day. I'm always trying to talk to my wife about those things. But yeah, I can go on a lot about the topic because it means a lot. It means a lot to me. So,
And hence why we have all this together, because I know it's important for all of us to talk about it, man. And I just hearing you guys, it's really impacted me because I'm hearing the stories, the things that you deal with, the traumas and different things like that. And it helps me to be real and be realistic. Now, Eric had mentioned earlier that he said it's okay not to be okay. And it was something before that because he checks on me and that's like, how you doing? And I said, I'm okay. But it was a moment where I'll be honest with you, I'm not okay. I've been going through a whole lot for a while. I wear a smile because I know that I can be strong. I know that God has me, but sometimes deep down inside, I'm sad inside. And so I'm just being honest about that. And the reason why I say, oh, I'm okay is because you don't want to burden people with your problems. But I've come to realize, especially when he said it's okay not to say I'm not okay. We've been conditioned to say we're okay. But at the end of the day, we need to be real. Like we all have feelings. Like you said, it's okay to cry. It's emotions. I cry quite a bit. but you guys know that I'm more of a sensitive guy anyway, because I love big and this is how I am. I'm okay with that. I accepted that. But right now with my mental health, I'm struggling a little bit. But the good thing is I do have counseling. I have a great therapist. He gives it to me real, he gives it to me raw. And one thing he said to me, because I switched therapists, I've had therapists over the last few years. I switched to him in August of last year. He said, James, man, if you would look at what he said, I wish I could record the sessions and you can see how you were at August of last year into where you are now. You have made such an improvement, and it's amazing to see your growth. And so when I hear that, it helps me to say, okay, I may not be where I want to be, but I'm not where I was. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is healing is a process. And so I'm in my process and it hurts sometimes. My process don't feel good sometimes. And right now it doesn't feel good to be struggling with different things in my life. is just not cool. And it didn't stop me from doing this show. It didn't stop me from doing what I got to do with my job and growing and doing things like that. But it does stop me sometimes with just wanting to get up out the bed. You guys, all three of you guys are fit fanatics. Like you guys work out consistently. Okay. I love working out too, but I'm not as consistent now. I have lost 10 pounds since November.
Come on
Because
now.
I'm being intentional about losing weight. Yes, but over the last weekend, I've been eating everything I wanted to eat because of my emotions. And something that I realized with me, I'm an emotional eater, and I've been doing good. But when I get like that, man, I'm chugging down sodas, and I know it's not good for me. So you guys really helped me to get myself back on track. I know my uncle used to say, my uncle David used to say when I was younger in high school, he used to say, "Tighten up." Like he said, "You need to tighten up." So I hear his voice. If he's hearing this right now, trust me, you have helped me with that. I need to tighten up in some areas because at the end of the day, my kids are watching me. My boys are watching me. And Damien, you said something especially important about you hope that your traumas doesn't trickle down to your son. I think about that with my son. And I'm sure I made some mistakes along the way, but I realize that more and more how we are grown and conditioned one way as a child, how it can it just go right into our adulthood, and sometimes we don't even know it because it becomes us.
Yep.
So we got to be careful with that. So, man, what a good conversation.
And if you notice that all four of us talked about having that spiritual connection with God. So I think that's important. Because the thing about it is the things that we face, it feels heavy, like, and it feels like unreachable, and sometimes like you just don't have a connection. Like and you get one thing and then you feel like you've been set back 15 other things, but always starting with God and thanking him through the good, the bad, the ugly, and the different, because he's aware of everything you're going through. You just don't, it's not our goal to understand sometime or what's going on or what's happening. But when you can share with me, or you can give me a testimony to get me out of what I'm going through, like you just don't know what you've been set up for. So I mean, I just thank God that we all have that, all four of us have that connection.
Yes, we had a connection. And it's crazy because I used to be a campus pastor years ago. But in a way, people would say, "Well, don't you know better? You should know what to do," but you don't. And we're going to talk about more of that in a second.
Yep.
You don't. You're human. So, all right. I guess we can go into our trending topics of the month. If you're ready for that. So let me go find my animation. I got my little jazzy animation for this.
Good.
I think I caught you said something smart, Q. What did you say out your mouth?
Man, I said, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go.
I think he said, "I hope it's good" or something. Is that what you said?
That's what it sounded like to me. It sounded like
I know you. You got something to say?
Hey man, we got trending topics, right? What are we talking about?
All right, we talking about because I now one thing I do, I get people straight. You know me, 'cause I'm Jiggy J, okay, and I don't play.
You don't want to do that on air. You don't want to do that right now.
Hey, I'm gonna be me. Hey, all right. So, how many guys heard about TD Jakes? What's going on with him?
Yeah,
okay, so I'm not the type to try to push blame on or accuse anybody of anything. So I'm going to say allegedly, completely allegedly, because there's no cases on him. There's no proof that I know of at this point. But of course, he's been accused of I'm going to use the word assault and different things like that, and even grooming. And I don't know if you guys know what grooming is. When somebody try to groom someone into doing stuff, they kind of start off slow and try different things and test the waters type of thing. And so he's been accused of that from some. And not that he's done it. I'm not saying he's done it. He can be completely innocent. And matter of fact, he went on the air and said that he ain't do it. He ain't do it. That's what he said. So what came to my mind is there are some people who actually did do it, who are in ministry, who are bishops, apostles, and preachers, and all this kind of stuff. There's some who actually did it, and some that's struggling with it right now. My question is, and this is from somebody who's coming from a pastoralship, what I've come to realize when I was a pastor is that a lot of times the congregation puts you on this pedestal, and they make you feel like You can't do any wrong. You are like God. You can't do that. And it becomes pressure.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I felt a lot of pressure to always get it right. And I know for a fact that I don't always get it right because I'm a human being. And something I had come across over the years in my 3 years as a pastor, I used to read articles, get articles of pastors who actually committed suicide. And I always wondered, why did they commit suicide? Why did they take their life? And on the outside, people probably thought, oh, he's living a good life. He's doing good. Oh, he's the pastor. We're going to bless him and all. And he's going through hell in the inside. And so my question is, when it seems like people are saying this is the year of exposure, but what if these people were trying to reach out and they felt like they couldn't? And they tried to get help for it, but they felt like they couldn't because we put on this pedestal. What do we do as people of clergy? What is the things that they need to do to kind of break that down so they don't get into a point of where people are trying to expose them?
Yeah, I feel like that's very hard. Yeah, it's like people set you up to be an idol just to tear you down, right? And it's like, God knows that we're from dust. He knows our frame and he remembers that we are from the dirt. But it's the pastors go through it mentally because people feel like you aren't equipped. I mean, you do have biblical qualifications, but I think it's a bit overboard, especially when you expect the person to be perfect. Nobody is perfect, and mentally, um, I think mentally it just gets really hard to bear, especially for those pastors who have taken their lives and have committed suicide. It's probably because they felt like they had to put on a facade, and the burden just gets too heavy. It's like it's not healthy to not have a circle to keep those things, to not have not to have somebody to tell that to, right? I mean, we go to God in prayer and he lifts our burdens, but he also gives us brothers and sisters to be able to bear our burdens. And so I think it's hard. It's a lonely path for a pastor, especially like if you're a pastor, you don't have you don't have elders alongside you to help bear the load. It gets really hard. So I mean that's kind of my take on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I heard about the TD stuff. It's a mess right now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen no kind of evidence coming with that. It's crazy. I've been hearing all kind of things with that. And I know that there are other pastors who have been guilty. So it is not something that is foreign to the church. I hope that it's not. But I haven't seen any concrete evidence or videos or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
now imagine if this guy's innocent, how he's feeling right now to have
Right,
the world
yeah.
on him because he's a mega pastor.
Sure.
Jeez.
Yeah, and I always take it from the standpoint like I'm not the social media, and James will tell you I hate social media. Like that's not I'm rarely on it. My social media game is weak. Like if you're trying to get something from me, it's very weak. Yeah, I think I got like 2 pictures on my Instagram page. But like I'm not on. I don't look at the shade room. I don't look at any of those type of things. Because I just think that we clog our mind. Like I'm not in a position to judge anybody because I know that I can fall short. I know that I can be accused of something. So when I heard about the stuff from TD Jakes or what he was being accused of, I wasn't alarmed because he's human. Like, and I said, if he did it, he did it. If he didn't, he didn't. He's in a space where he's not able to have privacy, and so he can't like go like you said, go to his elders or go to somebody in his circle or talk to his friends and that type of thing. He can do that, but the world is going to judge him because of the platform that we placed him on. We put him in that position.
Right.
We made him popular. I'm the member, the people went to his church. We watch his video YouTube clips. We watch his daughter. We watch his wife's YouTube clips. So we've made him up and we've built him up to be this person. And then we're saying the one thing you do, if you do one thing wrong, we're ready to judge you. And so I heard about it, but I mean, I think it was like right before I eat breakfast, and I was like, breakfast was more important than me hearing about TD Jakes. Like I just didn't care. Honestly, I didn't care, because I said to myself, yeah, and even my pastor, I look at him in the pulpit, and when he's giving his sermons and those type of things, And I don't like everything he says or how he delivers it or, all those other things, but I understand he's put there. He's the one that's chosen to deliver the word, deliver the message that particular day. He may fall short and do something, and then we have to replace him and that type of thing, but it doesn't make him a bad person. And if TD Jakes is found guilty or whatever of the accusations, doesn't make him a bad person because we all have our flaws. And so I'm very hesitant to judge people about anything because I don't want somebody to turn away and judge me in the moment, in my time of weakness or if I fall short.
Mhm.
I tell you one thing, I can say for sure, that judging thing I got away from because my beginning of my Christendom back in 1998 in July, I was so legalistic. I don't know if you guys know what that means. Like I was just
Mhm.
everything was, oh, you can't do that. I can't believe you did this. I can't believe you did that. And I was that type of person would say things about other people and said I would never do it. And here I go, I end up doing that and more. So we have to be careful. We definitely have to be
Mhm.
careful on how we speak out to people. I think it's so important that we don't judge, but let love abound.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
And to just touch on it real quick, what the guys were saying. So I did a little bit of digging with the whole
Mhm.
T thing. I'm gonna touch on the TD Jakes thing real quick, and then I'm also gonna
Okay.
touch on the putting uh, pastors on a pedestal.
Okay.
um, so I did a little bit of digging. Not I ain't gonna say research, but I did a little bit of digging on the issue because I look at TD Jakes as he's not my pastor, but um, I look at him as a very influential person to me and to a lot of people just because of his teachings and his business endeavors and things like that. I learn a lot from both of those avenues. But I also had an opportunity to I spent a weekend with him a few years back when he had a business, I believe it was a business leadership school, if I'm not mistaken, at Regent. And he was there. They were basically kicking off that school within Regent that weekend. And so I got an opportunity to spend the weekend with him, working security detail, having conversations with him, stuff like that. And just the knowledge and the wisdom that he has, um, it blew my mind. And my experience with him was nothing short of amazing. So when
Wow.
I first heard about that, I was just like, man, that's crazy. So I did a little bit of digging. But so what I found out, and y'all might know this already, but what I found out was all this stuff originated from some girl on TikTok saying something. Like finding out like, oh, Cassie did blah 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 blah, and she threw all
Mhm.
the stuff in there. Like there was nothing official about it. So I did not know that until I did all that other
Mm.
whatever. So that's where all that stuff came from. Some person on TikTok. And you know how they do on social media. They take it and everybody
Mhm.
runs.
Got it.
Run.
Yeah. So that's where that whole thing started. But I think people put pastors on a pedestal because they really don't understand what a pastor is, and they don't
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
understand what the role of a pastor really is. And so they see pastors as Jesus,
Mhm.
as this holier than thou individual, um, and that's not the role of the pastor, nor is that who the pastor is. And so they put them on this high place because that's how they view them. And I
Mhm.
honestly think, this could be totally sideways, but this is just how I'm thinking. I think the way that the human mind works is subconsciously we put them in that position as well, since they're on that platform and they're up higher. So for some reason we view them higher than. That's just a completely left thought that I just had. Um, but yeah, no, man, it just I think that we do that just because we view pastors as appointed by God, which they are, but appointed by God, but they're Jesus. We put them in on the same level as Jesus. They can do no wrong. They're perfect. They don't have the same issues that a regular person sitting in the pew has. Like that's how
Mhm.
we view pastors, and that's completely wrong. Um,
Right.
my pastor at church today said something that really caught my attention. He said, he was talking about, we've been doing this 12-week long series on Jesus and all of the different things that Jesus is, the provider, the finisher, the author, the human, like all these different things. And so today it was Jesus the finisher. And excuse me. And he was talking about how I'm trying to connect it. He was talking about how Jesus is the author and the finisher of our faith. He's the beginning and the end. We all know that. But he was also talking about how there's pastors, teachers, apostle, prophets, and all those different things. But the pastoral role is to equip people to go out to minister. That's the pastoral role. And so when you look at that way, the actual role of what the pastor is, I think it changes your perception of where a pastor, like that whole pedestal thing. I think it changes the viewpoint when you think, oh man, like the role of the pastor is to equip me to be able to go out and minister to that guy down the street. Like, it's not for him to be like holier than thou and like sitting with Jesus. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's kind of what my thoughts are.
Yeah, I think too.
Sorry. Side note, I'm so sorry. So since I'm on my phone, I get the little ESPN notifications. The Lions are up 24-7 right now
against San Francisco. You got to be kidding me.
Yes.
Oh man,
I'm sorry. I just
both of my teams like that.
We're not even going to air this until February anyway, so
Okay.
But hopefully, I mean, I wanted the Ravens to go. To be honest with you,
I wanted
the Ravens and the 49ers.
But
Yeah. What was you going to say, Eric?
No, I was thinking it was Damien.
Oh, it's Damien.
No, it's like just like a Q said. Yeah, the pastor's role is to equip the saints, and I think a lot of times what people intend to do, or they think of it like this: they think they're going to come to church and just receive from the pastor. They're just going to receive, right? It's not like it's different from having a mindset to go and serve and to give, right? Because the pastor's role is to be able to recognize and equip the saints, right? To do that, to equip you to do what you are called to do and to operate in that gift that God is giving you to do. But oftentimes we come to church with like a consumer mindset, and so it's just a lot. It's a lot.
Yes.
I was never a pastor, but I did, some work as a youth minister, and I could see, right? I've been in those rooms with the elders, and I just could hear all the complaints, right? The ridiculous complaints from like congregation. It gets very ridiculous, man. They'll put you under a scope because they're lifting you up and they expect you to be able to fulfill whatever they have and fulfill their need. You know what I'm saying? And a part of it is we do go to church to get edified. It's not just by the pastor, though, right? We go to church to also commune with each other and be edified by each other. But we don't really know, like you said, we don't really know what a pastor is supposed to do. We think we're supposed to receive everything from a pastor. It's just not. It's really not fair, right? Yeah. And it's kind of like we are partaking in celebrity culture when it comes, especially in regards to TD Jakes. You know what I'm saying? Or pastors like that, who serve on that, who have been given a platform such as that nature. You know what I'm saying? And not to mention this story, well, just like you mentioned, man, this story came from social media, right? So it started from a spark. And then it just spiraled, so we don't, right? It's like I said, I haven't heard anything, so I'm not going to be saying nothing about partaking in that because as far as I know, it came from social media. I didn't even hear about it. I'm over here in Tijuana. I heard about it from social media. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I didn't hear nobody come up to me and tell me, and if somebody did, I know they got it from social media. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, you got that whole factor too. But yeah, just to finish up, we don't really know what a pastor is supposed to do, and I think that's the problem.
Good. I think you said it right, man. We just don't know, and wow, that's good.
And we're not reading, right? Because Scripture tells us. It tells us what a pastor is supposed to do.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? That's right in Scripture, so.
And that's why you have to be really careful. And sometimes there are some preachers out there that are false. And sometimes, they'll say different things and we'll take it for face value. But if you don't have that word for yourself and a relationship for yourself, you're going to struggle. You're going to be believing anything. Like, what the heck? So it's so important. I've been listening to, I'm not sure if you guys know, but I don't have a church home right now. I'll be searching for, I'm looking for another church home. But one thing that I have been doing is I do watch sermons on TV, and I've been watching some things on YouTube, and it's been good. I've been finding some good nuggets, some good things to feed myself spiritually, and then get myself back in there. One of the biggest things for me in ministry is that particular things that you guys are saying, like the pressure of having to take on everybody's problems. Like, not that I don't want to help anybody, but it does come to a point where it becomes overwhelming and you get overburnt, you get burnt out. And that's happened to me on several occasions. And so I'm in a season of just taking a deep breath, recalibrating, taking a sabbatical, and letting God work on me first so that I can be that for somebody else, because the ministry will never get away from me. It's not going to go anywhere. No matter how I try to run away from it, I'm stuck with it. and I accept that, because I find myself wanting to pray for people more, and I find myself wanting to preach. I'm like, wait a minute now. No, I'm not going to do that, but it's just in me. So I thank God for that. Another story that's big in the news right now, of course, is politics. This is the year that we decide on if Biden will stay in the office or we have a new president. And so you guys know that
It's the year to geriatrics. Is that what you're saying?
this is one of his favorite topics. It's drama.
The senior citizen police.
It's just pure drama. It is.
Are we buying Depends for the president?
Ooh. You see the guys down there. We all pretty much know. We can pretty much say that Trump is.
Oh man, they're right over there. They're right in the corner, right there.
Right in the corner, right beside you.
Yeah. James got some of his tools and messing around. Got the presidents on the.
I got
presidential candidates on the other screen.
Right beside you,
man.
But we pretty much know that Trump is probably going to be the front runner for the Republican Party. I mean, he finished the Iowa caucus with high numbers, the New Hampshire primary with high numbers. He's going to pretty much, we can say that, although it could change and it could be, what's her name? Haley. I don't see that happening, but we know. So we're going to have this battle again with these two fellas in the corner here. And like he said, depends, but it's going to be a match. And what I've been seeing over the few years that both have been in office, it's just like, especially with Trump, it's always something going on. It is always something crazy. It's just like a soap opera. It's like, what next? It is crazy stuff in the White House, crazy stuff in politics, crazy stuff even with the Supreme Court, not the Supreme Court, but with Congress. Going back and forth on different bills and all that kind of stuff. It's just a lot of drama everywhere. And so my question to you guys is, do you think, first of all, it's a certain age it should be a cap off on becoming the president, even in office like Congress, the senators and the House of Representatives? Do you think there should be a cutoff date?
There are 80, 90-year-old senators and Congress members.
Say that one more time.
There are 80-year-old and 90-year-old Congress members as well. Like they're all old. Yeah, they're all up there.
Yeah, how old is Mitch McConnell? How old is he?
Mitch, I think it's like 85, 84, 85, something like that.
Yeah. That's a lot.
And it's weird because he's going back and forth with Trump, but his wife used to be in Trump's cabinet.
Really?
Mm-hmm. She was a secretary, one of the secretaries in his cabinet.
So it should be a cutoff. What do you think the cutoff age should be for presidents?
You know what? Now, I'm gonna say, what's the retirement age?
65.
65.
67, 65.
Yeah, because they both in their 70s, right?
Yeah. They'll both be 80. They'll be 80 if they get the position.
Now,
look at Damien's face. It's like, what?
100%. It should be. I'm gonna say somewhere between 65 and 70. 70 pushing it. 70 pushing it. But and the reason I say that is because you got all these old people trying to make decisions on what's going to affect all of the generations and people that are so much younger than them.
Yeah,
They're viewing things. I normally don't talk about politics. So, let me just throw that out there. Not something to talk about. But if I were to talk about it, I could talk about this a lot, because the way I view it is nothing is ever going to change anyway if every 4 years we're putting somebody else in the position to be the leader here. So nothing's ever going to get changed. But when you're trying to if I'm 65 years old and I'm the manager of my company, but everybody who's working for me is 40, 45, the way that my thought process is not the same as theirs. And what works for me at 65, or what worked for me and the company when I was 40, is not what's working for the company right now at me being 65 years old. So I think that, yes, to answer the question, just straight up, yes, there should be an age gap, and I'm going to say 65.
Yep. And I would agree. And I would agree with you. And like, it's just weird because I love politics, and I follow all these older members. And it's also just a shame that neither one of them, the two candidates that we will probably end up with do not represent this beautiful, diverse country that we live in. Like, our country is diverse. Like, and that's one of the things they just recently showed. It showed all the members of the Republican Party in the House of Representatives, and it was all Caucasian. And then they showed all the members of the House of Representatives in the Democratic Party, and it was a melting pot. It was a melting pot of people. And so you're telling me that the best we can do is two old white guys as our candidate, And so it to me, it gets to be a bit selfish at some point, even in Congress, when you try to hold on to a seat for so long that you have, because you got to think about it. Like, research shows you at a certain age, your ability to keep up, your stamina, the stuff we talk about, mental health, being able to make decisions and all those type of things. Some of that stuff fades and goes away. Joe Biden can't stay on his feet. He can't stay upright. Like, every time you turn around, he's falling. And it's not on accident. His knees are weak. His bones are frail. Like, his calcium level is low. Like, it's low. Like, he's vitamin D shots. To get his knees together. So it's all those type of things. And I think at some point it's just selfish to continue to put us in this position to make this choice, because one of the things I grapple with is that there were a lot of people who died for me to have the right to vote. And so, we're taking our children, we're taking ourselves. And I'm like this, I got to vote in every election, no matter what, local politics, federal, that type of thing. But you're forcing me to go to the polls to vote for two people. I don't particularly care for either one of them. You feel a certain kind of way when you don't. And then, let's not get into taking the black vote for granted and all that type of stuff, because then you get into a whole, we could talk 2 hours for that. So,
well, we're going to definitely talk more about politics in the coming shows. But I will say, just the overall, man, I feel like you're right. The age is a little selfish. Like, we have younger people who are eager to get into office and make change. They know what's going on with their community and with the Gen Z. Was it Gen X? Is it Gen Xers? Gen Zs. They know what's going on. They know what to do. They know what would work. And we don't put those people in there. It's like you're controlling things. You got to let people get in and get their feet wet as well. So I agree with that. Did you want to say anything, Damien? Or we can just go on to the next segment.
I second everything that was said. I think there should be a cap, right? Because I didn't see Joe Biden have mental smarts up there along with Mitch McConnell. It makes me,
look, Mitch can't complete a sentence. I mean, just frozen. Everybody thought it was the cable connection. No, he just frozen. It ain't your internet reception.
Right.
He just can't move.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. And that just makes me feel like, what are we doing? Why are we always forced to participate in the circus show? Like, why do we have to vote for two people like that? Why does it always have to be a show?
Yeah.
It makes me think, okay, what's the purpose here? Like, do we always have to deal with this kind of dynamic when it comes to presidential campaign? Because you're right. Now, as far as Black people, we didn't always have the right to vote. So it's like, man, we are really having to do this. We're really having to consider, do I even want to partake in this? Like, do I want to be responsible for putting this person on this pedestal?
Right.
So it's like, man, what? And then they fall, all right. And it's like, they can't even stand up at this point. So it's just, I don't know. It's crazy. I just feel like we always got to participate in the circus here, and it's, So And we always gotta choose the lesser evil. Why we always in that position to have to choose the lesser evil? So it's frustrating for sure.
It is frustrating. All right, well, we'll see how this goes. We'll definitely hit more on the politics in the coming months. So, without further, let's get to our last segment, man. We're gonna get on our focus topic for the day. So let me roll that animation. And Q, you got something to say? All right. Our last segment is our focus topic, where we just discuss something that men go through. And I wanted to start our first inaugural episode with defining a man. What is a man? What is manhood? What is that all about? And one particular thing that came to mind is we hear this term a lot nowadays called toxic masculinity. And a lot of that has to do with, I know someone said it earlier about, I let my kids cry, especially a male cry, and then I'll go back and talk to him and say, but I found myself getting on my kids. You don't need to be crying, boy. Man up, man up. And I caught myself saying, wait a minute, but I'll cry. Mm-hmm. So I need to be more, respectful of the fact that he has emotions and he needs to do that. But I feel like it's because of the way I was raised. So what do you guys have to say about manhood? How do you define it? What is it for you?
Well, this is year 20 for me in education. So I've been in education for 20 years. And so I have an 18-year-old son and a 12-year-old son too. And so it's interesting how, like you were just saying, Tony, when you have, I'll have parents who will come in and say that, my son needs to not cry, or my son, shouldn't let a girl hit him, and all that, like he shouldn't hit the girl, that type of thing. Or especially a lot of the African American men have this stigma. So I wasn't raised by my dad. I don't know my dad. And so raising two African American boys, I was a little nervous about it. So I read a lot of books, like that type of thing. And I didn't have my family's female dominant. And so it was, I didn't really have any footprints or tracks to understand how to necessarily raise boys, but I also knew how I wanted to be treated. And I kind of used my experiences and things that from my friends and brother, like not official brothers, but brothers and friends, that type of thing. So defining manhood, it's weird because I try not to like put a definition to it. And I think it also has evolved, where, you think about like the caveman, come in, beat someone over the head, bring him in the cave, all that type of thing. I think manhood and masculinity has also evolved as well, because like you said, there's a time, I think, even in a relationship where, we use the word like women should be submissive to men if they're married to it. But you get females now, or your partners now, and they say, well, I work just like you work. I bring, the bacon to the table, for say, that type of thing. So I don't, of course, like there's a biblical definition of, man and woman and those type of things. But I think also we do have to understand what society brings in and what society is viewed and what you see on TV and all those type of things. So it's, to me, it's one of the most challenging things to explain what that is to my boys. So we have a lot of conversations about it. And then to my male students, we have a lot of conversation about it, because it's a lot of situational stuff that's brought in. And it's mainly coming from social media, what they see on TV, is how they define it in a movie. And so I would just say that, just to when you talk about the topic of manhood, I would say it is, I think some pieces of it are evolving. And I think the conversations about how a man should show up in different spaces, whether it's your home, or whether it's at work, or whether you um, at a job interview, like I think that's also changed as well. So
It's real good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, good.
Okay, well, I was gonna say that I piggyback on exactly what you're saying. I think it's times are changing now, and we're understanding that some of the things that we've learned as a child about how to be a man is a little toxic and is a little bit tainted. And if we don't get it right, it's going to continue to roll down to our kids. And so we have to have a balance. Yes, we want our kids to be man and to do what a man's supposed to do, but we don't want to affect their mental health because of it. We don't want to affect them as a person and make them feel like they're less than because they're weaker in one area and stronger in another. Like it, you have to watch sports. You have to do that. I'll tell you, I didn't start watching football until in my 30s, my late 30s. And I absolutely love it now, but I couldn't stand it then. And I too came from a lot of women around when I was growing up. I had two stepdads. One was very abusive, and one was in my life. And he passed away last year. Rest his soul. But with that said, I was mainly around women the most, and they didn't know how to teach a man how to do
Mm-hmm.
certain things. And so I think it's so important that we allow fathers who want to be in their kids' life. Let's just say that it didn't work out with your spouse or girlfriend or whatever, and you're separated. I think it's so important that mothers allow fathers who want to be in their children's life, allow them to be in their lives, because especially males, because a father needs to be with their son, and the son needs their father, whether we realize it or not. There are times where your sons will rebel against you a little bit. I tug a war with my son, especially my older one now, but I realize that if I stay on him now and I continue to show him love despite the things he may do or they may do, both my sons, it will help them in the long run to be great men, a great man of God, of course, and just great man overall in society, and not let the world beat them up, but to really go out there. And so even doing this show is a testament of me showing my kids that it's better out there and that we can talk about these things because men don't talk about their issues. We don't talk about mental health. We don't talk about those things. We're trying to now, we're getting to that point, but we didn't do that. Oh no, especially African Americans. You can forget it. It ain't happening. You're supposed to hold it all in. And what happens is you build it all up and then you explode, you're fighting, you're drinking, you're doing all these vices and these things because you have it built up and you feel like you don't have an outlet. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
it's so important as a man to look at those things and think about our generations to come and how we can help them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
100%. I one of the things that my wife and I are very, very intentional on is breaking that cycle. We don't want our kid, neither one of our three kids, but we don't want our sons to be the way her dad is and was. We don't want them to have that same mentality to be that way. We don't want them to feel like uh, they can't express themselves and that they have to work with tools and they have to do this and they have to do that. Now, on the flip side, we're not encouraging them to go put on princess outfits either. But
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
but we're not putting that pressure on them at such a young
Mhm.
age, 3 years old. Um, I think, and when this airs, I know I'm gonna get a lot of slack for this, but I do not believe that a woman, a single mother, can teach her son how to be a man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean,
In
hey,
agreement.
because y'all are
Right.
strong. I don't take this the wrong way, but a man has to teach a young boy, a young man, how to be this, because what
Mm-hmm.
happens is, um, a single mother is going to show her son the things that she didn't get from
Mhm.
the who she should have gotten it from.
Well,
So that's how
Mm-hmm.
she's gonna portray it. That's how she's gonna raise him, or she's gonna raise him in a way where she wants him to be the man that she should have had, if that makes sense.
Oh
mhm,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so you have to look at it that way as well. But um, just knowing, like he was saying, just what is a man, like defining that and how it has evolved over the years and how it will continue to evolve, and then how social media and entertainment are playing such a role in today's what is a man. Like, now you look at it, and with the way that they're changing things now, you think a man, it is okay for a man to wear a dress or to
Mhm.
to wear makeup and nail polish and this, that, and the other. And that's a whole nother topic, but that's not okay. So yeah, yeah, man, I could ramble on about this. This topic is something that I could talk about, but I'll say that to end that there.
Okay, we'll talk about it more for sure.
Yeah.
And you want to chime in something, bro?
Yes, sir. So yeah, I grew up in a single parent household. My mother raised me, right? So I had three sisters. I had one brother, and my brother moved out, when we were younger. So I think I was about 10. My brother was 12, and he went to go live with his father. But I don't know how to answer this day. I don't have a relationship with my father. But yeah, I mean, my mom would even tell you. My mom raised me, right? My mom was very capable. She's a strong woman, right? And my mom, I think, in a lot of sense, she did what she had to do. She was the leader of the house. She did what she had to do. But she'll tell you she couldn't teach me how to be a man, right? Because she's not a man. She's doing the best that she can do, So a lot of things I did learn I did pick up on the strength of from my mother, and I was able to adopt the same thing. But I had to learn how to be a man outside of the house. Part of me doing that was to get out early, going into the military and just seeing different examples. I saw different examples of men in the military, men in the church, and things like that. But also, as far as like manhood, man, I see Christ as a perfect picture of manhood. That's a huge pedestal, but that is the picture that I do have because men set me down in scriptures and showed me in scriptures that Christ is a true man. He showed me the manhood of Christ, as far as like being a leader, as far as somebody, him teaching and leading his disciples, him coming to take on flesh and just to give his life, right? So he's a picture of servanthood. He's a picture of a person who sees potential, right, and brings that out. I take a lot of those things and I apply that to my family. Um, it's my job to be able to look at my family and see the seeds of whatever gift they've been given and do my best to cultivate and bring those things out. I think that's what I'm supposed to do as a man. I think I'm supposed to be courageous. I can't, but one thing I realized is I can't be a man without walking with God, right? I'm just a man. I'm
Yeah.
only a man, right? And I think sometimes, right, we have this picture that a man is supposed to bear everything and not be vulnerable. And scripture's picture of a man is that he's from dust, right? So it's like we're supposed to walk humbly before God. And even in this thing we call entrepreneurship, right? We're going through cycles of, we don't know what's going on in the economy, especially in the trucking industry. I told you guys I have trucking industry, and the economy is just like this, right? And it brings us a level of anxiety. But God is always there to lift the burden for me and let me know that I'm there to provide, and He's the one who's there to give me strength and to encourage me and to tell me to put on courage so that I'm able to lead effectively for my family. So. Um, the world might not have that view of what a man is, but I don't think I can effectively be a man without walking with God, right? And God being there to lift my burdens whenever, and that sometimes that's a daily thing for me, you know. So yeah, that's kind of I don't know, I know the society's view of what a man is it seems like it's evolving, and I think too, we've had traditional definitions of what a man is, that man is supposed to provide and lead and protect and things like that. And I think that's what a man is supposed to do. But I also think that we're coming into a time where it's just men, we need to learn how to not lead in trauma. And it's okay, and tell our sons that it's okay to express emotion. Um, and just a man is all those things that I said he should be providing, right? He should be providing leadership. He should be there as a shield of protection. But I think we're finding out that a man is much more than that as well, too. So I don't know if you guys heard of this guy. His name is Wilson. but he has this book. Have you guys heard of that guy? Older gentleman called Jason Wilson. He's an older guy, and he has a book called Cry Like a Man. And he talks about the idea of comprehensive. You guys should check him out. You like him a lot.
Okay.
But he talks about this concept of being like a comprehensive man, right? So we are meant to be protectors. Like we do have. I think God didn't make a mistake as far as giving us the physical bodies that we do have, right? And having to protect with those. And we are called to lead and do these things that a traditional man is supposed to do. But we are still like, I don't think we are. I think we do need therapy a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? It's like we do need to learn how to work through our emotions, and we are placing burdens on our kids a lot of times. It is because we are parenting from a place of trauma because of the sense of manhood that we have put on us, right? Which I don't think has always been a healthy view. But we are more than just men in the traditional sense, you know. So we should be able to, you know, a lot of times we expect a woman to, what is that called? We say a woman is supposed to do certain things. She's supposed to
submissive,
clean, nurture a house, all that type of
nurture, right? But a man is supposed to do those things too, in some sense. You know what I'm saying? You know, so a man is supposed to do those things. A man is supposed to, you know, nurture in a sense. So I'm still. That's just some of my idea. I know there's a lot. There's a big jumble, but I think that there is, you know, more to being a man than just what we have known in the traditional sense, you know, so.
Got it.
Oh, wow. Such good topics, man. My bro, Q has lost audio. But I just told him we're going to end the show anyway. So I can talk about it really right now. But at the end of the day, it's been a very, very, how do you guys feel about the first show?
It's good.
I think it was good. Yeah.
So we're going to continue to grow from here and, you know, do what we got to do. I feel like it was very impactful, good nuggets, good stuff to feed our soul for man out there. We need this kind of stuff. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and end the show for this month. This will air February the 1st. I'm going to put it out February the 1st. And we're going to do once a month right now, guys, for all you watching. I know you probably want more, but we're thinking about our schedules and things that we got going on in our lives. And so I want to be cognizant of that, knowing that me as producer and editor and all that stuff, I have to be cognizant of that and not put a lot on me. And I think that's important that we need to do as men, is learn not to put too much on us so that we can be the best that we can. So that's what I'm doing with that. So with all that said, thanks for watching. Q, Wave. And we'll join me again on the next, join us again. See, I'm so used to saying, because I'm by myself for so long, but I'm so glad to have my co-host. All of us are co-hosts here. Eric, thank you. Q, thank you. Damien, thank you. I love you guys. And we'll see you next time on the next edition of Locked In. I feel locked in right now.